This is Desert Homestead Prepping. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications.
We said that we were going to make raised beds out of pallets. We decided that that was just going to be a lot of effort, a lot of work, and then we also were concerned that it was just going to be junky and it wasn't going to last. So we decided that we would fork out the money and buy some metal raised beds.
And the reason why I was very, really wanting that, even if we were going to do it out of the pallets, because again, we're not getting any younger, and so I just thought the raised beds would help on the weeds, and then when we get older, the stooping and the bending down. So if we just get that implemented right now, that in the long term, it will be beneficial for us, because we're planning on being out here for the long term. So we just thought that was going to be probably the best idea moving forward. And our channel is really all about, we like to utilize the stuff we have on hand, what's free, what we can get free, and what's cost efficient. However, this is just one of the items that we know. It's, again, early May, and the option to build was going to take a lot longer. We didn't want them tearing down, and we just pulled the trigger and spent the $1,200 for 10 of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
And these should last for many years to come. You know, like we said, when it comes to wood and water, which, you know, when you're gardening, you're going to have to water quite a bit. It's going to rot, and, you know, sure, I'm sure that we could make raised beds out of pallets, but I just don't think it's going to last. I think the most you're going to get is a couple years, and they're going to start to deteriorate, and then you're back at square one where you have to build some more raised beds. So I think that on some things it's better off just to go new, just to go professional. And when it comes to raised beds, I think that was probably the better choice. All right, so I'm going to start opening up boxes, and we'll see how it goes putting these together. Come in the opposite direction. Wow. Yesterday we had to kind of abandon our assembly project for the garden beds because the wind just really started getting crazy. The storm was coming in. So it's the next day. We're struggling to really get motivated because it's just a continual drizzle. We did get most of them built. We still got 3 more that I got to put together. So I don't know, I'm just gonna have to deal with the drizzle and the rain and just get focused on it. I got to get these done so that we can get them organized and in place, because I got to go to work and we have a wedding, got things going on. So this is crucial. I got to get to a specific point by the end of the day so that we can be on track to fill these and have them ready for planting by the weekend. All right, so got all these done and assembled. Storm is setting in. I'm just gonna get everything all cleaned up, and then I gotta head back to town to go to work. So when I get back, we'll continue on this and get everything all arranged, and see if me and my wife can come up on a good agreement on where we want these exactly. All right, it's a crappy day. Nobody's too excited about doing any work, but we got to get some stuff done. Get the garden ready for planting once this cold weather blows by. So Abby's gonna help out by gathering up all the bark and hauling it over to the garden, because we're gonna put this in the bottom of the raised beds. There's lots of bark scattered over here, and we're also gonna use some of these smaller pieces of branches, and there's a lot of scrap wood here that we can use. So that's the plan. We're gonna see how much we can get done before the storms really set in. Right now it's just gloomy and windy and chilly, but here within a couple hours it's probably gonna start raining, and then we're not gonna get much done. So Abby's super excited, aren't you? Not so much. My wife isn't too excited either. She's having a hard time getting out of the house, but we're gonna push through it. We gotta get going on it, and whatever the weather is what it is, because we only have so many days. So before we really get going on filling these and placing them exactly how we want them, I need to brace these because they're just gonna bow out. And so I had to get creative and try to work with what we have. So I'll show you what my plan is. So I have some of this twisted wire that went to chain link fences. I'm going to use that, and I have some bolts left over with some wing nuts and some washers, and should be able to put some bracing across the middle on, you know, 2 braces, and I think that's going to be plenty strong enough. This is galvanized, so it won't rot away as fast and should last for a long time.
Okay, so just to go over our plan, we got these from the scrap pile and they're doubled up, so we're gonna have to unhinge them, and then we're gonna put them the long ways because these are gonna make arches. So we got to put the T-posts. These are the 2 we're gonna do. I'm gonna keep it kind of symmetrical. We're gonna do from the middle of this one to the middle of this one. Then we're gonna have cucumbers growing up on both sides. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the other 2 far end ones. So we'll have an archway here and an archway here. So first of all, we gotta do before we put the chicken wire down is we got to put the T-posts in so we can make the trellis that goes between these. And the reason why we gotta put the chicken wire after we put the T-posts is because, well, we've watched a lot of YouTube videos, and they say, like, if you plant like carrots or radishes or any root-bearing vegetable, that animals will come up underneath the raised beds and pull them under. So for recommendation, we're going to try to do it right the first time. Listen to what other people have said. We might not know, we might not need it, but we'd rather have it done than fill all these up and then lose some vegetables. So that's what we're doing next. Hopefully we can get that done today before this evening, and then more tomorrow. So that's where we're at today. So stay tuned.
So it's 8 o'clock in the evening. Sun's starting to go down. It's just beautiful weather, so we decided to take advantage of it and keep working until later. Storms are supposed to come in sometime late tomorrow, maybe. So we just wanted to get as much as we could today. So we got to a pretty good point. So we got all of our fill in these. So, you know, I think it looks really good. We have all this rotting branches and logs to fill the bottom layer of these. I think it looks really good. That's going to be great for the future. So we'll fill it with the dirt and, you know, some of our human waste and all that stuff.
We don't have much of that left.
Yeah, we don't have much of that left. So yeah, there's going to be just a lot of dirt. We're going to pick some of the best dirt that we have on the property and go with that, and fill them the rest of the way. But over time, as these branches and logs rot, it's just going to be really great for that soil. So that's as far as we're going to get for tonight. We'll hit this first thing in the morning. So we're back at this again today. We're going to see if we can get all these garden beds filled. So this is a lot of dirt that we're going to have to haul to fill these up. So, I mean, one wheelbarrow at a time is going to take us days. So our neighbor was very nice to let us use his small tractor with a front bucket. So we're going to use that, and we're going to, you know, we're going to scrape out of our dry creek bed here. There's some mounds in here that has some really good dirt. We're going to use that and haul it in there and start filling these garden beds. How close some of these are, we're just going to have to pile it close enough, which is going to be great, because if I have a pile right there by it, I can just scoop it in to each bed that's close by, and it'll go a lot faster, way faster than shoveling it into a wheelbarrow and then trucking it all the way around. So we're excited. Should go fairly fast, and we'll get these things filled up and all set and ready for planting. So we got these filled up. We're so very grateful that we have wonderful neighbors with equipment that we can borrow, because this would have been days just trying to one wheelbarrow at a time. So yeah, that made quick work of it, and we did get up early.
We knew there was a storm coming in, as you can see. I don't know. We had some sprinkles. We didn't know how bad it was going to be, but we watched the weather and we knew. So we got up early this morning and said we needed to get going before the storm blows in.
Yeah. So we knew it would roll in at around 2.
Yep.
And so it's about 2 o'clock right
early.
now.
I think it came about 12:30.
Yeah, it came a little early.
It like sprinkled. I say.
Yeah, it rained
it
for
rained
a little bit,
what,
and then it blew by.
Yeah. So we're perfectly dry right now.
Yeah, we're fine.
Yeah.
We just had to push through it, and because we had an objective, we had to get these filled. So the soil that we've used is from some select areas on our property, and this property has some really great soil. In a lot of the places, especially this little ravine dry wash area. This soil is just so amazing, and it just fluffy and great. It works really good for planting all kinds of stuff. The downside is I'm getting that top layer of this good soil we're just getting all kinds of grass and weeds. But that's just the way it's going to be. That's what we have, and we're going to go with it. So throughout the gardening season, my wife will be pulling weeds and, you know, weeding them out, and it'll just how it's going to be.
So I think this took us overall. I mean, we would have been done a lot sooner. Our neighbor next door, really weird story. So we borrowed neighbor to the south. We borrowed their tractor. Neighbor to the north of us, we haven't seen since we moved here.
Yeah, they own this property for a couple years, and I met him once. She never met them, and he came out today and came over and visited for a while.
Yeah, so we took 40 minutes, maybe an hour out of our time, showed him around the homestead, asking questions. But the funny story, I really want to share this. So the funny story is that when he came walking up, the dogs were barking. I wanted to put the dogs in the house, and I'm like, he looks just like my son. Like this guy has a beard, a bigger dude, and I'm like, this guy looks so much like my son. Anyways, when we were exchanging phone numbers, because they don't live out here full time, they live in a town an hour away.
Yeah,
about an hour away. And so they're rarely out here. He said this is the first time in a year he's been out. So anyways, so I was in the house, and Mark was putting his phone number in his phone, and his last name is actually the last name of my son from a previous marriage.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is 40 minutes before he had got here, I said to myself, he looks just like my son.
Yeah.
So the weird thing is they have the same last name. I'm absolutely sure they're related somehow.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah,
you can see the resemblance.
He talked about his great grandpa who had 12 children. 6 of them were boys. They all spread out
throughout this area.
Yeah, so I'm honestly thinking that this that our neighbor is actually a relative, distant cousin, third cousin, or something with my son. So
yeah.
I mean, that's just an amazing story. I just thought I'd share, but I mean, I was pretty blown away.
Yep. It was quite interesting.
It was very interesting. Yeah.
Great guy. Fun to talk with him and you know, show him around.
Yeah.
You know, and that's, you know, it's really important to know your neighbors, and we've wanted to get to know them for quite some time. So a lot of fun. That's going to wrap it up for this video. Obviously, work is going to continue on. So that's the raised beds. We got them filled up.
Well,
she's got big plans.
Yeah, we still need to do. I'm going to do still another like an inch of compost, and then I'm going to do the Miracle, like in one bag each of Miracle Grow potting soil.
Yeah. And
then I'm going to start planting on this trellis right here. We have one on this side and one on the other side. We're going to do cucumbers. That's going to grow up.
Yeah.
So
that's the plan. You know, in a later video, we'll be able to follow my wife around as she gets her garden dialed in and starts planting some wonderful vegetables. You know, one thing that we found out, we had been saying, rule of thumb is that you plant on Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
We were wrong.
Yeah.
That's the rule of thumb back in the cities because it's a much lower elevation. Everybody out here does not even think about planting until June 1st, and sometimes even the second week into June.
Yeah, so we're at May 17th today, and I have called 3 or 4 neighbors, and nobody even has their they haven't even purchased their plants yet.
Yeah. So it's a very different climate.
Yeah.
So that's another learning curve for us. We thought we were behind the ball. We're like, oh man, we're missing the date. We're going to be late.
Yeah.
And then we found out, hey, we're pretty much right on time. So
Mother's Day was last week. So
that's great.
Yeah. So we probably will keep our plants in our greenhouse for 1 more week, where I get my compost put down and my potting soil put down, and then I will start planting. So.
Yep. All right. So we appreciate you guys following along. You know, appreciate you guys following along with us and you know, our crazy work adventures. Make sure to comment. Let us know what you think. How do you think the raised beds turned out? How we had to improvise with, you know, some of these support brackets, or how we have it placed. You know, would you do anything different? You know, just you know, comment. Let us know. Bye.
All right, so thanks for popping in, and stay tuned of what is going to grow and see how it grows. Like, this is my first garden. I was raised with gardens, but here we are, first year. Our 1 year anniversary of moving out to the homestead will be in a couple weeks.
Yep.
So maybe we can do a video about our 1 year anniversary and kind of the things that we have done throughout the year, what we have done. So
yeah.
Stay tuned, and thank you for watching our crazy life.
Okay.
Okay,
Catch you guys in
bye.
the next one.